Oh, the other sleeper thing that you would not expect me to do, but I've been doing for the past 2 weeks
Okay.
is Chris and I both have been addicted to Animal Crossing. We're both,
Really?
yeah, no, I just like picked it up one day and was like, maybe I'll try this.
It's so fun, isn't it?
I don't know what I didn't get about it before, but I'm playing it. We moved it to Chris's Switch so I can play it on the couch now. And I think that's what I
Nice.
was missing is like playing it on the couch.
Yeah.
Playing it on light is just not the same.
Yeah. Wait, are at some point are we Switch friends?
We are.
Okay, good. Because I was
We
gonna
are.
say we should, if we're not, we should be Switch friends so I can visit your island.
Yes, we are. Because I visited your island once, I
That's
think.
fair. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so anyway, and then so Chris is like watching me play and he's like, I kind of want to play. And so now he's like got a little house on my island and
Very cute.
we're like cohabitating in a virtual world as well, which is interesting.
I love
Um,
that.
but it's so funny because I'm like, I want this particular aesthetic for my island and I want it to look a certain way. And
Mm-hmm.
meanwhile, he's got like a giant monster statue like in his yard.
Yes.
It's so funny. It's
It's
so good.
really fun.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. I'm Blair.
And I'm Kirsten, and we are mediocre
Mediocre
content.
content.
This is literally the last week of May.
Eesh.
Disgusting.
Is it though? Because we've got what? I'm
Oh,
confused.
2 weeks?
Oh yeah.
Two
Oh
weeks,
my
I
God.
guess. Yeah, because I think this one will come out before our wrestling one, which is that one's gonna be so long.
That one's gonna be wild.
Anyway,
Um,
I can't believe
yeah.
it. The
It's
official summer is starting.
yes, it is. Yes, it is. And we love that.
Unless you're in the Northeast. If you're in the Northeast right now, it still feels like it can't figure out whether it wants to be winter or not.
And if you're on the West Coast, no, the northern part of the West Coast, I should say,
Yeah, yeah.
it still feels like fall. Congratulations. It will continue to feel like fall for the rest of the year. There is no summer here, as I
There's
have found
none.
out by living here.
Oh,
Summer does not exist. I talk to my coworkers and I'm like, I'm still waiting for summer. They're like, it doesn't happen.
oh
We have like
no.
one 70-degree day and that's it.
Oh.
And I'm like, this is stupid.
One might say that that's kind of nice.
I mean, it is.
Yeah.
But also, I just want to wear shorts and like
I just,
feel warm.
I just want my legs out.
Yeah. I want to
Oh my
get
God.
tan, you know?
You do tan very well, actually.
Thank you so much. It's been worse in my adult life, and I don't know what that says about me.
Really?
Yeah, I just get red and then like
Oh,
go back to pale.
that's
So
unfortunate.
I know
Uh,
I'm becoming a permanent pale person,
you're
a
becoming me.
PPP.
Oh gosh, a PPP. Oh dear. Horrifying.
I am becoming you though. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
true.
I rock lobster all summer long.
Yeah. So we'll see. I don't know. I think it'll be okay.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be fine. For anybody
Anyway,
else, though, please wear sunscreen regardless of how you tan or don't
yes.
tan. That's
What a
always a good idea.
lovely PSA. Wear sunscreen.
Your skin
My
is so
family
important.
actively makes fun of me because I'm the only one who like takes sunscreen super seriously.
Bro.
But it's because my mom is Greek and so she tans
Yeah.
beautifully. And so does my brother because he inherited that. My dad does use sunscreen. Okay, excuse me, my son is clawing my leg.
Her cat son, for anyone confused. Although I'm sure real children can claw your leg as well.
That's true.
He's so cute and fluffy. I see it
He
again.
is so cute and fluffy. Okay. But yeah, so anyway, uh take your sunscreen seriously.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna disclaim before we
Hmm.
have any more disclaimers.
Hmm.
I'm gonna disclaim while holding Salem.
He's so cute.
um okay, so we are not experts on anything. If you have come to the podcast to get any kind of advice, we are not the place to get that. But please come to learn about things that would not normally cross your algorithm. um Let me see. Okay, all right.
He's
Ugh,
nice bow.
look at my fancy
Fancy
bow.
bow.
All right. um
He looks comfy.
I know, but like I don't want him to be on the top of the chair because it's new and it's nice looking.
Oh, that's right.
Okay, hold
Such a
on.
nice color too.
Please hold. Kirsten, talk to them about
Oh,
something.
sorry. Yes. We're not experts. All the things we don't know what we're talking about. Do your own research. Educate yourself. Wear your sunscreen. Wear pants in public. I feel like that's about as useful as I'm gonna be in this category, honestly. Um, and that is a very fluffy blanket. I'm jealous of Blair's blanket. Blah blah blah. Talking, talking, talking. Podcast. Experts. Mediocre. Got it.
Got it. Okay. Would you like to talk about the good news
Oh,
since you
right. I
are the
guess I could
one
have
who
done
did
that.
that? Yeah,
I could have just done that. You know what? I feel like what I did was entertaining.
it was. It was
Thank
great.
you.
I listened to the whole thing.
Yeah. So, this is going to be sports related. I only did one because it looked like you had a lot of material, so I didn't want to take away
That's good. Yeah,
from the main
that's
event.
you did the right thing.
Thank you.
Hmm.
So the title of this article was Watching Sports Boosts Well-Being and Improves Your Health According to Groundbreaking in parentheses research. Um, for some of us, this is true, I'd just like to say. For people that smash their TVs, maybe not, but we'll move forward.
Yeah. Um,
Mm.
if your local city has to grease the telephone poles to
Oh my
prepare for
God.
you, maybe you're not doing it
Yeah,
correctly.
I don't think so. This is not the boost they meant. Um, Beyond simply providing entertainment and relaxation for some, watching sports fosters community and belonging, which benefits both individuals and society, allegedly. So, despite its recognized positive effects, limited evidence exists on the link between watching sports and well being. And to address this gap, the team of Japanese researchers used a multi method approach and found that sports viewing activates brain reward circuits, leading to improved well being. Essentially, is like dopamine, is what I'm going to go ahead and assume is what they were tracking. I don't really know. Um, this is especially true when watching popular sports. Specifically, they cited baseball and football, and that's the American version, not the soccer version, I would assume, because they didn't specify. Um, and that can notably boost both physical and mental well-being. The research offers insights for public health policies and individual well-being enhancement, led by Associate Professor Professor Shintaro Sato from the Faculty of Sports Sciences at Waseda University. The team found that watching sports, particularly in large crowds, goes beyond entertainment by fostering a sense of community and personal belonging. He explained that a significant challenge in well-being research is that the subjective nature of measurement procedures, potentially leading to biased findings, which is what I would assume. And these studies focused on both subjective and objective measures of well-being, combining secondary data analysis, self-reports, and neuroimaging measures to understand those connections more clearly, probably. Because your brain does do fun things when the chemicals release that make you happy, so that is a very good objective measure.
Indeed.
In the first study, the researchers analyzed large scale, publicly available data on the influence of watching sports on 20,000 Japanese residents. The results of this study confirmed the ongoing elevated pattern of elevated reported well-being associated. That's a terrible combination of words with regular sports viewing. However, this study was limited by its inability to provide deeper insight into the relationship between sports and consumption and well being together. The second study, which was an online survey that involved 208 participants, aimed at investigating whether the connection between sports viewing and well being varied depending on the type of sport that was observed. The experiment exposed them to a range of sports videos assessing their well being both before and after the viewing, and the findings underscored that widely embraced sports, such as football, exerted a more significant impact or enhancing well-being compared to less popular sports such as golf, which I thought was kind of sad.
Golf. It's getting
Golf.
there. It's
It
on the
is.
rise. It is.
And also that makes me think that like not like herd response is kind of a thing. Is what I got out of
Yeah,
this study.
right.
Like you like what the group likes because sometimes there's safety in numbers and like the group is looking out for your well-being, therefore your
Yeah.
brain is like, "Oh, well everybody else likes it, so I should too." So,
I think that's why in golf there are a few events where people really love going to those ones
yeah.
because it's more crowd oriented than it is
Yes.
like golf, really,
Yeah. Right.
if that makes sense.
It's more about the people you're around than it
Right.
is the
Yeah.
sport.
And the drinking, because there's a lot of drinking.
Anybody got a cart girl out there?
Right.
However, the most groundbreaking aspect of the research emerged in their final study, where the team employed, neuroimaging techniques to scrutinize alterations in the brain activity of 14 Japanese participants before and after watching sports clips. The results showed that watching sports triggered activation in the brain's reward circuits indicative of feelings of happiness. So they had a dopamine release. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, I thought it was topical
Hmm.
for today, but also, if you really enjoy watching sports and your teams, and that's fabulous. I know I feel that way when we go to hockey games, so everybody's
Yeah.
got their thing, but there's a huge crowd presence in hockey games, so
Yeah.
that's a lot of energy that's just circulating in the room. So,
Soccer is that way as well. And
yes.
that's what
Yeah.
makes it fun, I
Yeah.
think.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And then football, of course, if
I
you're in
would
a
just like to
stadium.
make a little announcement
Oh.
that if you are someone who loves watching sports
Mm.
and you feel as though girlies who like going to concerts are weird, then I need you to
Okay.
check yourself. That is all. Just take a look
It's
inside,
very true.
see how you could relate to these people and
Oh, this
just
is
think about
perfect.
it. Yeah.
I love that you said that though,
Mm,
because I recently, saw
mm.
I think she was also from Japan, but
Okay.
that they have all those really cool karaoke bars and things
Yes.
there. Okay,
Uh-huh.
so there was this girl who was going and singing for like 10 hours, and she was losing weight singing because of how much like endurance and how much your
Uh-huh.
body is like
Yeah.
actively doing things. So I
Yeah.
would even argue that singing is a sport. So
It could be a sport.
it could
Yes.
be a sport.
I
And she
think
was
it would
sitting down,
be,
which is why it was so
oh,
like, it's not like she was standing, she was
right.
sitting comfortably and singing for
Yeah.
that amount of time and was losing
Well,
weight.
and I mean you use your abs in singing for
Yep.
breath control and things like
Yep.
that. So
And
I
you've got your
mean,
heart rate going, you're
yeah.
breathing. It's
Yeah.
great.
It's
Anyway.
great. Um, interesting argument. I don't know if we
Just
have
want to put that
everyone on
out there.
board with that, but I
That
like
one
it. I'm
video.
I'm here for it. I'm down. The other thing that this triggered for me as well, which is not exactly on the same topic, but I think we should need to do an episode on Japanese game shows
Oh, yes. So
because
fun.
those things are wild and I
They
love
are.
it. It's
Like
so
they
good.
have not like we have nothing on Japanese game shows.
Nothing.
And
I
we
know
have prices right.
the inner okay, don't hit first of all, The Price is Right is an institution. Every it was the soundtrack to my nursing career is
Okay.
The Price is Right. Okay. My
Okay.
hospital nursing career, that The Price is Right and like Maury are the soundtrack.
That's
Okay.
fair. I was always a
Judge
Judge
Judy,
Judy.
all that. Yeah.
That's so
Hmm.
funny.
Yeah. So,
Uh,
but yes, no, I agree. Yeah,
yes,
we need to do it.
absolutely.
Okay. Moving right along. We're going to talk about women's basketball since it's such a hot topic, and also because we like sports, kind
Mm-hmm.
of. Um, although I will just go ahead and admit I do not know how to play basketball.
Me neither.
Um, I've never desired to play basketball.
Mm-mm.
And and I am tall-ish for a girl, I
You
would
are
say.
tall-ish for a girl.
I'm 5'8", which is
Mm-hmm.
like mid for basketball standards.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
if not on the lower end,
But you're still tall.
but I've never, yeah, I'm not a basketball girly,
Mm.
but I do support this movement for women's basketball. I think it's really great.
Yeah.
And I think that women's sports need to be valued appropriately
Agreed.
um, because they're just as good and it's fun
It
to
is fun.
watch.
And they got cute
Yeah.
ponytails.
And they got cute ponytails. Yeah, you're so right.
So,
Um, also, I didn't talk about it in this information that I'm about to give you guys, but there are several women's sports bars that are playing specifically women's sports.
oh,
I don't know where their locations are. I've just seen it like go viral online before. I think one of them is in Oregon and it's called the Sports Bra,
that's adorable.
and I think it's cute. And I think I saw something about them like franchising. So
That would be fun.
Yeah. So if you have and it's not just women can go there, everyone can go there,
Right. They
but
just
they
play
only
women's
play women's
sports.
sports.
Love
So if
that.
you're into that, find your local sports bra, if you will,
I'm heading to Target right now.
right now. So we're going to start with the history of the WNBA, which I was like trifling over this because it's not only is it long, but it's
Hmm.
filled with many failures, and
Oh,
the women persevered. All right. So here we go. Women's basketball began the year after the game was invented, believe it or not. The
oh,
history of women's basketball success is a long one. Collegiate and professional teams, intercollegiate competitions, as well as the sad history of many failed attempts at professional leagues, women's basketball and women's basketball at the Olympics. So they've hit like every major
hmm
area,
hmm
but um it took them a while to get where they are today. So, in between so like the early years starts in 1891. James Naismith invented basketball in Massachusetts at the YMCA school. Okay.
Wow.
In 1892, the first women's basketball team was organized by Sandra Berenson at Smith College, which is an historically uh, prominent, like all women's college, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Um, Adapting Naismith's rules to emphasize cooperation with 3 zones and 6 players on each team. In 1893, the first women's college basketball game played at Smith College. No men were admitted to the game
You are not allowed.
in March 20 on March 21st. Women's basketball college edition began at Iowa State College, which is interesting because that's where Caitlin Clark played for.
Oh,
So they have like a really big history with basketball, which is cool.
yeah.
Uh, so Iowa State College, Carleton College, and Mount Holyoke College,
Mhm.
and Sophie Newcomb College, which is now Tulane, in New Orleans. Each year, more schools added women's basketball to their sport offerings for girls. Clara Gregory Bear introduces basketball to girls at the Sophie Newcomb College in New Orleans. So basically, we're getting a good start, right? Sandra Ben in 1894, Sandra Benderson published an article on women's basketball and its benefits in the Physical Education Journal. Very good. We love
Mhm.
this. Uh, Basketball was being played at many women's colleges, including Vassar, Bryn Mawr, and Wellesley, which are the sister schools to what we know now as like the Ivy League.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
in 1896, bloomers introduced as a playing costume
Okay.
at Sophie Newcomb College in New Orleans. Stanford and the University of California at Berkeley played the first women's intercollegiate game. Stanford won 2-1, and the men were excluded, with women guarding the windows and doors to exclude the men, which
Stay out.
we love this energy. Like, we're playing basketball and y'all need to leave. Like,
So funny.
no boys allowed.
For real.
Um, the first known women's basketball game between 2 high schools was played in the Chicago area, with Chicago Austin High School against Oak Park High School. So, and that was in 1896. All right, so skip a couple years to 1899. The Conference of Physical Training established a committee to form uniform rules for women's basketball, which is very important.
Hmm.
Stanford banned women's basketball from intercollegiate competition,
What?
as did the University of California. So we're on the downhill now.
Oh my
Everybody
gosh.
hold on.
I want to see what I want to do though. My brain wants to do is to have like the timeline for men's basketball next to it and be like, oh, what were you guys allowed to do then?
You and my brain are on the same wavelength. I'm get like at the end I have a little segment
Okay.
comparing like where men's basketball was like to
Okay.
women's in the timeline. So we're
So it's
there. We're
absolute
doing it.
crap. Okay.
Oh, I know. Oh, I know. Okay. So, in 1904, a Native American team played women's basketball at the St. Louis World's Fair as an exhibition.
Hmm.
In 1908, the AAU Amateur Athletic Union took the position that women or girls should not play basketball in public.
Okay, first
Rude.
of all, if you have amateur in your name, then you
Rude.
probably shouldn't be making decisions.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, mediocre content.
it's fine.
That's
It's
fine.
fine. We're not making decisions though.
We're not.
That's the
That's fair.
thing.
We're just giving
We're
information.
we're just giving information. In 1914, the American Olympic Committee declared its opposition to the participation of women in the Olympics competition. Very rude again.
So freaking rude. Why do they hate us so much?
All right. So in the 1920s and 30s, things kind of got going again.
Mm-hmm.
The emergence of industrial leagues with teams comprised of company employees, the inclusion of women's basketball in the Olympics, and the emergence of two black rival women's basketball barnstorming teams.
What is a
Uh,
barnstorming team?
so in athletics terminology, a barnstorming refers to a sports team or individual athletes who travel to various locations, usually small towns, to stage
Oh,
exhibition matches.
I
The
see.
term is primarily used in the United States. Barnstorming teams differ from traveling teams in that they operate outside the framework of an established athletic league.
Ah,
So I think this is basically like before um the sport was integrated. This
yeah,
is
yeah.
what they did instead.
That's good. They like show up, they like knock on the door and be like, ready to go?
Yeah, I guess.
Let's
And I mean,
play.
whatever works.
Yeah.
The framework of, yeah, so while traveling teams are designated by a league, formally or
Mm-hmm.
informally, to be designated
Um,
a designated visiting team.
I
Right.
see. I
Yeah.
see. Yeah.
It
Very
allowed
cool.
athletes to compete in two sports. For example, Goose Reese Tatum played basketball for the Harlem Globetrotters
Ooh,
and basketball for the Negro League's barnstorming team.
cool.
Yes. So he did both.
That's awesome.
I know. In the 1920s, so we talked about industrial leagues. In 1921, the Jeux Olympiques Feminines
Yeah.
held in, so I guess the women's Olympics
Yeah.
held in Monaco um was excluded from the official Olympics
Okay.
and included basketball, track and field, and Britain's team won the basketball event.
So
So,
literally just women going, fine, we'll do it ourselves,
yeah,
is
we're
what
going to go to
that tells me.
Monaco and
Yep.
have a great old time.
Yep.
That's it.
And there was probably cute girly drinks and
Mm-hmm.
lots of food. And I love that.
Exactly. So, and this continued to happen for the next 2 years, this
Mm.
particular competition. In
Mm-hmm.
1923, the women's division of the National Amateur Athletic Federation held its first conference, and over the next few years, it will take on women's extramural basketball and other sports as too competitive,
Excuse me?
working to get high schools, industrial leagues, and even churches to ban tournaments.
So
And
now
I
basketball is a
searched,
religious problem.
right. So I searched to see why they decided to do this. And I'm assuming it's probably just some like stuffy old people thinking that women can't do what men can do. Um
They're
and
just having fun.
this was also a time when pants were controversial. So I don't
I
know.
do love pants.
I do too.
So freeing. And
Um
then I don't chafe.
right.
TMI?
Pants are great.
Pants are great.
Period. No explanation needed. So in 1924, the Olympics included women's basketball, finally,
Thank goodness.
but it was as an exhibition event. The International Women's Sports Federation hosted a women's event paralleling the Olympics, including basketball. So we're getting there.
Mm-hmm.
In 1926, the AAU held the first national tournament for women's basketball with six teams participating. And we're like, okay, this
Mm-hmm.
is coming around.
Mm-hmm.
This is good. And then in 1927, the AAU National Women's Basketball Tournament canceled under the pressure from the WNAAF, which is the one we just talked about, the women's division of the National Amateur Athletic Federation, um, because they were pressuring the AAU to like cancel their stuff, and so they did.
Okay, so hold on a second.
Yes, go
I just
ahead.
want to make sure I understand.
Yeah,
The women's division of the National Amateur Athletic Federation. That
yeah,
sounds like women running that,
I would, yes. Yeah.
right?
Yep,
So
that's
the
correct.
women were saying, no, this is too competitive. This is not for us. Oh, also, we just want to get rid of it. And then they're
Right.
like, no, 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 you guys can't do it either.
So
Girl.
it's giving very strong, like, Moms of Liberty
Yeah,
vibes
right. That's exactly what I'm
because
thinking.
they are looking at things that are inherently good
Right.
for, our population,
And
the
it's
general
fun.
population of women.
Yeah.
And they're like, nah, fam, that's not for us.
Like, no, women cannot have fun. Women cannot find enjoyment in sports. And they
Right.
certainly can't do it with their kneecaps out.
Right. It's
I
crazy.
hate that so
I
much.
know. And I'm sad. Whoever at the AAU was like, nah, we're not doing this now because
Whoever
I feel
folded,
too much pressure.
we're looking at
Rude.
you.
Don't be like that. Don't be like the
Right.
AAU.
Jeez. Women supporting women not.
No, this was before that.
That's true.
We didn't start supporting each other until the
To like
the
yesterday.
right to vote, the right to vote movement.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, the women's rights movement. Excuse me. There we go. That's
The
what it's
women's
called.
right to vote.
Yeah. All right. So in 1929, AAU selected the first AAU All-American team, and they restarted the national championship tournament with the Sunco Oilers defeating the Golden Cyclones. A beauty contest was part of the event
Okay,
because
so close.
so
So close.
close. I feel it. It's trying to tell me something. I just know it. I
It's like
like,
they're
oh
like, yeah,
God.
yeah, yeah, play your little sports. Can we see you in a bikini later though? And then
Yeah,
judge you about your body type.
right. Yeah.
Wow, so close.
We're getting there. We're getting there. It's
It's so weird.
1929. Give us a break.
I know, we're almost there.
All right. So in 1930, AAU national championship included 28 teams, including, and the Sunco Oilers won,
Again?
defeating the Golden Cyclones once
Again.
again for
Holy
the second
crap.
year in a row.
That's so good though.
In the 1930s, Isadore Channels of the Chicago Romas team and Ora Mae Washington of the Philadelphia Tribunes starred in two rival Black women's basketball barnstorming teams. Both women
Oh.
were also American Tennis Association title winners.
Wow.
Yeah. And the
Hmm.
NAAF, which is
The
the one we hate,
WNBA, yeah.
continued to pressure states to ban women's basketball tournaments with success in many states. So
Don't
rude.
understand why. Why were they so against it? As potentially women themselves. No, that's just an assumption. I don't know who was on the board necessarily, but I
Yeah.
assume if it's a women's division, you probably have women in there.
Yeah.
Mm.
So anyway, I'm going to actually, before we take a break, I'm going to continue going through. We'll go through the 1940s and then we'll stop. How's that?
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
So the period during World War II
Mm-hmm.
through the late 1970s saw many advancements in women's basketball and in women's rights.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh, from a reorganization of the sport's international competition to the inclusion of women's basketball in the Paralympics
Ooh.
and the enactment of Title IX, which is
Mm-hmm.
huge,
Mm-hmm.
requiring federally funded schools to fund women's sports, including basketball. So we're very
Gotcha.
excited about this. In the 1940s, during World War II, competition and recreation basketball was common. Relocation centers for Japanese Americans, for instance, included regularly scheduled women's basketball games.
Sure.
Note, the league was founded in New York City on June 6, 1946, as the Basketball Association of America, the
Or bah.
BAA, the BA. Um, it changed its name to the National Basketball Association on August 3rd, 1949, after merging with the competing National Basketball League. And then after that, there are several changes to become the WNBA that we know and
I
love.
see. I see.
All right. So let's take a break there and then we will continue on in the 1950s.
Man, I'm glad this podcast is halfway over.
Me too. I'm not sure I'm even going to make it through the second half at this rate.
It's a good thing they call this mediocre content. That way the public knows what they're signing up for before they even start listening.
I feel like the listener deserves a more direct warning about the true mediocrity of this podcast.
Agree. Let's send them into the second half with a real disclaimer.
Mediocre content is far more mediocre than you think. If you think that's what's good for you, you listen at your own risk and moderation. We, the husbands of the mediocre content podcast hosts, do not recommend you listen to our wives week after week and instead suggest small regulated doses of their mediocrity at any given time. We should know. We live with them. All mediocre content podcast listening is at your own risk. Good luck.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
So we're going to start in 1953. We're going to jump right in.
Okay.
So the international competition in women's basketball was reorganized in this year. In 1955, the first Pan American Games included women's basketball, and USA won the gold medal. Congratulations, us. Not trying to brag. In 1969, the Intercollegiate Athletics for Women held an invitational basketball tournament, the first national tournament, not including the AAU teams. Westchester State won the championship women's basketball, and women's basketball was included in the Paralympics during 1969.
Thank
goodness. 1970, 5-player full court game was adopted for the women's basketball. And if you care about basketball, you'll know more about that, and that'll be significant to you.
It means nothing to us because we don't watch basketball.
Right. In 1972, Title IX was enacted, requiring federally funded schools to fund women's sports equitably, including team scholarship recruitment and media coverage. Association for the Intercollegiate Athletics for Women held the first national intercollegiate championship in basketball. Immaculata defeated Westchester, and Immaculata is a beautiful name for a college or like a team.
Sure,
that's beautiful.
I mean, my brain was like, is that a spider species?
Right.
I don't know why I thought that, but that's where my brain went.
It's amazing. Also in 1972, the AAU established a national basketball tournament for girls younger than college aged. So that's exciting. We love that. In 1973, college scholarships offered to female athletes for the first time. Amateur Basketball Association of the United States established, replacing the AAU, which is good. And in 1974, the U.S. Olympic Committee recognized the Amateur Basketball Association of the United States. Billie Jean King, which is, side note, a famous tennis player who was in Battle of the Sexes with this other famous tennis player who was a guy. And Emma Stone does a really good job of playing her in the movie. So just if you care about tennis at all, that's a good movie to watch. And she founded the Women's Sports Foundation to promote sports and physical activity among young girls. Very good.
Love.
In 1976, women's basketball became an Olympic sport. The Soviet team won gold and USA won silver.
Okay.
In 1978, the Wade Trophy was established to honor a top collegiate player, first awarded to Carol Blazejowski. Bill Byrne founded the 8-team women's basketball league, the WBL.
Perfect.
In 1979, the WBL expanded to 14 teams, increasing professional presence. And in the 1980s, so the 1980s ushered in an era of increased professional status for women in basketball. Okay. There were, and as we'll talk about, there are several different attempts to have a professional league, and it doesn't always go as well as planned.
Well, in fairness, given the start, I feel like it kind of tracks.
Right.
Yeah.
So in 1980, Ladies Professional Basketball Association, founded with 6 teams, played for less than a month before failing. The first USA Basketball Female Athlete of the Year award went to Carol Blazejowski. And the Olympics were held, but many nations boycotted during this time.
Okay.
Including the United States.
Sad.
For a variety of reasons due to the Cold War.
Indeed.
In 1981, the WBL played its last season. Women's Basketball Coaches Association begins, and the NCAA announced women's basketball tournaments. And there was some legal drama between the AIAW and NCAA about college basketball stuff.
That's so annoying.
if you care. In 1984, women's basketball, the Olympics women's basketball event was won by the USA team, with the USSR and some other nations boycotting. Not surprising. When Women's American Basketball Association, the WABA or WABA,
Wow.
was formed with 6 teams, and it was, like most of the women's professional basketball leagues, short-lived.
Didn't Wabba sing in Mamma Mia? Just kidding.
That was a beautiful joke, and I'm so glad you said that.
You're so welcome.
Lynette Woodward began playing with the Harlem Globetrotters as the first woman to play with the team.
Nice.
Shout out. In 1985, Sindra Berenson, which you might remember that name from earlier, and L. Margaret Wade and Bertha F. Teague were inducted into the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame, the first women to be honored to do so.
Oh, so cute.
Yes. In 1986, Women's Basketball Association, or the NWBA, was folded in the same season.
I was like, yeah, never mind.
In 1987, the Naismith Hall of Fame initiated Female High School Player of the Year award, which is good. In 1988, the Olympics women's basketball event was won by Team USA once again.
Perfect.
In the 1990s, the WBL officially disbanded. Liberty Basketball Association was founded. The lasted 1 game, which was broadcast on ESPN.
Damn. It's just like,
it just gets shorter and shorter as the timeline goes
Lost
on.
it.
It's awful. In 1992, Howard University women's basketball coach became the first woman to win monetary damages under Title IX for discrimination.
That's right.
In 1993, Women's Basketball Association, the WBA, was founded. In 1995, Women's Basketball Association, the WBA, was failed, and the American Basketball League founded with 10 teams.
I just feel like there's the same, I imagine it's the same people just reestablishing under a new name. They're like, they'll never know.
Yeah, I know,
immediately.
Exactly. Right? In 1996, the NBA established the WNBA with 8 teams. Cheryl Swoops was the first player signed by the WNBA.
What a perfect last name for basketball.
I know.
Cheryl
she was
Swoops?
born to do this. I know.
My God.
I know.
Girl, that is
I hope
perfect.
Nike gave her a contract.
Heck yes. And she's probably still alive because she's around our age range. So good for you,
so
girl.
True. So true. So in 1997, the first WNBA game played, and the WNBA added 2 more teams. So things are going well.
Okay, we're making
some progress. We're finally there. We're finally at the WNBA. It's fine. In 1998, the ABL, which is the American Basketball League, failed.
That's fine.
The WNBA was expanded by 2 teams. So we're doing great.
Yeah,
we're doing
that's
great.
Fine.
In 1999, the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame opened with 25 inductees. The WNBA expanded by 4 teams for the 2000 season, and more gold, more glory, the 2000s and beyond. Okay. So here we are.
Here we are.
The USA women's basketball team captured another gold medal at the Summer Olympics at the start of the new millennium. Spoiler, the world did not end at year 2000, just in case you guys wanted to know.
You know what? I was wondering about that.
Many people thought that was going to.
It's true.
I was 6 at the time, so I had no opinion. But
at a meager also 7, I also had no opinion.
Yeah.
I was just living life.
Right. So anyway. So let's see. In 2000, Olympics was held in Sydney, Australia. The USA team won the gold medal. Teresa Edwards became the first basketball player to play on 5 consecutive Olympic teams and win 5 Olympic medals. The National Women's Basketball Professional League, the NWBL, was founded.
Names keep getting longer.
I know. In 2002, Ashley McKinley became the first woman head coach for the men's professional basketball team. And she resigned in 2005 with a 21-10 record.
Nice, girl.
In 2006, the WNBA celebrated its 10th year by announcing an all-decade team selected by fans, media, and current players and coaches. So now we move on to the update. So the
Yes.
WNBA today, aka what I'm calling Caitlin Clark and the vibes.
That's basically what it is.
So some of this information I got from TikTok on this
Which is fair.
section. The timeline I got from like an article. But this I got from TikTok. So, and also some of it is my personal opinion, just to put it out there.
That's fair.
But I think we're witnessing the rise of the WNBA. People are freaking out about the recent college NCAA tournament. More so much so that the men got like no attention during this year's March Madness. So and there was like, and a lot of people watched them, which is unheard of in women's basketball still to this day. So and also like I think Caitlin Clark is incredibly popular, but she also like a lot of people love rooting for her because she seems very down to earth, very chill. So and congratulations for her to being really good at her job. Like that's amazing. So anyway, Disney Plus will stream the league's 2024 season tip-off on May 14th. So it'll be out by the time this comes out, as Clark's Indiana Fever take on the Connecticut Sun. So, and she signed, that's her professional team. That's not her college team, just so anyone who doesn't know anything about basketball like us is aware.
Yes.
The streaming service will also broadcast the Las Vegas Aces matchup with the Phoenix Mercury later that day. And that's another WNBA team. So just to clarify, they've already played the Indiana Fever Connecticut Sun game, but they're just putting it on so people can rewatch it if they want to.
Nice.
And Disney Plus also owns ESPN. So it makes sense for them to capitalize on this opportunity. And I think they know that people want to watch women's basketball. And initially, according to TikTok, Caitlin Clark's first game was broadcast on ESPN Plus, but it was like really terrible apparently. And like not everybody could log on, or there was some issues, I guess. And so a lot of people were watching it on other people's live streams who were at the game. And that's just terrible. Like that's no fun. So now Disney Plus is trying to remedy that, which I think is great.
I mean, the thing that I just side quest here for a moment, the one thing that does bother me as somebody who does watch hockey religiously is how many subscriptions you have to see a single game, and even then you may still not be able to see it depending on your region.
A lot of sports are like that. I mean, golf is like that too. You have to like, in order to get every tournament, you have to like have 5 different subscriptions or something.
Which is so dumb. Or you have to live in a certain place because they assume like, oh, well, if you're too close, why aren't you just here? It's like, 'cause I can't afford tickets. Anyway.
Well, and also too, the other thing is like there's a literal golf channel. You would think that everything
but
would
it doesn't.
be
and we talked
on the
about
golf
that.
channel, and it's not true.
No, it's the true for ESPN and Nessun as well, because if you're a hockey fan, you know that a lot of the Bruins games are blacked out, and you have to have Nessun or like a Fubo streaming service in order to watch it. And even then, I get off my soapbox. It drives me crazy.
Quick shout out to Philip on our golf episode who talks about this and the woes of trying to watch sports.
It's hard
in general. So anyway, go listen to that if you're interested. So a lot of people are watching the WNBA right now. So this is a good chance for them to grow the league, right? So they have the platform, or they have the audience. They just need the platform, right? So the other thing I want to talk about really quick is Caitlin Clark's starting salary, which is $338,000 over 4 years. Now, that is incredibly low, given that the top NBA pick this year was starting at $55 million over 4 years.
That makes me so ragey.
Yep. So other women's basketball players have historically gotten paid the same or less, but this year is a pivotal year. More people are watching, and the women are more people are watching women's basketball. So hopefully the revenue will result in some contract negotiations down the line, increased pay for players. Because they know they're good. They know they're worth it. They know they deserve viewership, you know.
Agreed.
Um, so the other thing that I found in an article that was put out recently about this is
Mhm.
that a lot of factors play into the differences of the salaries from the NBA to
Yeah.
the WNBA. Apparently, like some of it is viewership, obviously, but
Sure.
apparently the percentage of revenue allotted for salaries is different between the WNBA and the NBA. So like the NBA, 78% of revenue is for salaries,
Oh, I see.
and
Okay.
like WNBA is just 28%.
Wonder why that is.
I don't know. And like so one of the women who was quoted in the article who plays I forget her name,
Mm-hmm.
but she was saying, "Oh, well, we just want to be paid the same percentage. We know that it's not going to be the same amount of money because we obviously don't have the same viewership as the NBA. But like,
Yeah.
we just want to get paid the same percentage of the revenue as they do."
You know what my brain just had a thinking thought about the fact that maybe it's because like the NBA doesn't have to spend as much on advertising because everybody knows March Madness. Everybody goes crazy if you're like a local sports team or whatever. But
Mhm.
maybe if you're in the women's league, you do have to push more money outside of just your salary and push it towards more marketing advantages or like more marketing efforts. Maybe
Yeah,
that's where a lot of the revenue goes to because it doesn't have that viewership and they're trying to gain it. I don't know.
maybe. I don't know, but I don't see a lot of that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's true. I
Like,
don't see a lot of the ads if
and
there are
I
any.
would think that the algorithm would
Mm-hmm.
target me for that
Because
kind
we're
of stuff.
women.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And also, I'm sorry, it's not 28 and 70%. It is 10% and the men get 50%. Sorry
Still,
about
I
that.
mean, that's still a
Yeah,
big gap
it
regardless.
is. It
Yeah.
is.
Ugh. Well, and I would argue that it's a bigger problem in general too, because even the Women's Hockey League, as far as I'm aware, does not get as much traction, even during
Right.
things like now where they're doing all of the Stanley Cup playoffs
Right.
matches and things. Like I have them and I follow them on my TikTok, but very rarely does the algorithm even show me them as much as the individual teams in the playoffs right now, which is just
Right.
very weird.
So I thought that I put in here, and I guess I didn't, when the
Mm.
NBA was founded,
Oh,
just
yeah,
to
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
give a idea.
Mm-hmm.
Because technically, so like the WNBA was founded in 1996, which is within our lifetime, right?
Right.
The NBA has been an established organization since 1946.
Right.
So the other thing that factors into like salaries and things like that is the NBA has been an established organization for 78 years, and the
Because
women's, right, because of women's
right.
oppression and all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that being said, the
Mm-hmm.
WNBA is really only 28 years old.
Yeah, yeah. When you compare it and how long and I
Right,
would also probably argue that even like your original timeline started what in like 1891 or something like
right,
that. And so
right.
I imagine even during that time frame, men's basketball in some concept was taking place
Totally.
already and like
Yeah,
established as a concept and probably more well received during that
yeah,
time as well,
yeah.
which did not help the women's case
Right.
in all
No,
of that.
exactly.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
is unfortunately is just part of the history in a lot of these topics when it involves women's leagues or women's rights and things like that. But it's good to see that it's finally kind of stable.
Yeah, I
Like,
agree. Yeah, I think we're in a good place. I think we're just now like
yeah,
reaching the potential of what
yeah,
it could be for the WNBA. So
yeah,
I know I'm gonna try and watch some women's basketball games just
yeah,
to like show viewership, not necessarily
yeah.
because I understand what's going on,
I do
but
not.
like, why not? You
Why
know?
not? I
Why not?
agree. And also, I feel like we'll need it would be cool to do an episode on the NBA as well and just see like the
Yeah.
comparison. which
Totally.
we need to do like women's golf anyway. We need to do women's hockey. We've done the NHL before. We need to do softball and baseball. Like there are sports episodes coming in the future. So I would love to know if you guys want to know about one of those, if you have other ones in mind that we haven't reached. We haven't done tennis, which is huge. We haven't
Tennis
done
is
soccer,
huge.
which is huge. So
Mhm.
if you see any of those topics out there, or you want us to do one of those or different ones, please let us know. Hopefully you guys, I love this. This is fantastic.
Yeah, no, it's great. I love it too.
Very rage inducing though.
Yes.
But with that, you can always connect with us on questions, comments, concerns, or episode topics at mediocrecontentpodcast@gmail.com. You can also stalk us over on Instagram, TikTok, or our YouTube channel. We do post in all of those areas, and you can leave a comment with any of those things there. And then I think we have maybe one more Twitch stream at some point. Unfortunately, but fortunately, Blair and I are both moving at the exact same time. And so
Yay!
we will be in somewhat more difficult time zones working
Questionable Wi-Fi conditions.
that as well. So we'll probably have one more Twitch stream at the end of May, so feel free to connect with us. It will be on a Thursday at 3 p.m. PST, 6 p.m. EST, or 11 p.m. BST. Just pick your time zone and show up. We always appreciate any stars you can give us wherever you listen to podcasts, and we will see you next week.
Support women's sports.
Hashtag support women's sports.
This has been Mediocre Content.
Thanks so much for listening. Cheers!
Cheers!